Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Aliens. I'm John, and as always, thank you so much for being here. Good topic. Happy New Year. Let's do it. What's your biggest what the did I just say moment? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I've got two. I was working out on the sales floor one day at work, and the head honcho boss walks up to me. So any plans for Christmas? Hope they're good. Me. Whoa, that was weird. Nothing planned so far. He gave me a really weird look and then just walked away. No lie. It's like I tried saying 6 words at once and just failed. And last week at Subway, I ordered a sub, and the cute girl who was making it asked if that was all, to which I replied, "Yes, sir, ma'am." She gave me a weird, semi-offended look. I felt like a knob. Once I was buying a train ticket, and instead of, "Good morning, can I have a one-way ticket to wherever I said, "Happy birthday." I don't know why I did it. I was as surprised as the ticket guy. And when he said, "What?" I went, "Sorry, I didn't realize." Really? I can't explain what the hell I was thinking. I was at work and I was having a long day. I stuffed my hands into my pockets because I felt like I looked awkward with them dangling while I walked. They got hot and sweaty, and I got anxious, so I started doing the wiggle thing, trying to get them out of there, but they were stuck. I look up to realize someone is just watching me wiggle dance trying to get my hands unstuck, so I just turn and start to run. I'm looking down at my hands, though, trying to figure out why they were still in my pockets, and I rammed right into a bookshelf. I work at a library. So books are falling, and I'm laying there in a crumpled heap, and some people have gathered around. I've managed to free my hands at this point, and somebody asked, "Are you okay?" To which I replied, "Pockets," looked them dead in the eye. During a presentation to the board of directors and executive team on behalf of my client, my well-dressed agency laid out a multi-million-dollar marketing plan in hopes they would buy. As I prepared to say that the campaign would grow and spread its wings, I instead said, "And as the campaign spreads its legs, oh." Thankfully, it was met with laughter, but have never lived it down in said client and coworkers. When learning how traffic and crosswalks walk in London, spoiler, it's effing nonsensical, I was told by a friend, worst case scenario, wait till someone like a pregnant woman or a crippled veteran or Girl Scout crosses. That's the kind of person cars will actually stop for no matter what. So take advantage of them crossing for you to cross. So when a woman is pushing an infant in a stroller across a crosswalk, I say to my friend, "Okay, I'll take it." I take advantage of that baby, loudly. So my then girlfriend and I had a little running joke. Anytime I told her I was going to play hockey, she thought it was cute to say, "Don't forget to wear your helmet," to which I would cheerfully reply, "Go yourself, don't ask." Anyway, one day my mom said to me, "Don't forget to wear your helmet," and guess what I said? I have a story. This is so stupid I almost want to make a throwaway account. I was at my new job as a dishwasher, and at the end of the night, we would all drink beers while we cleaned up. So I was standing there talking to my boss, who I had known for like a week. I went to take a drink of my beer, but at the same time I was going to smooth down my hair or some shit, don't ask me why. But instead of that happening, I put my hand over my mouth and dumped beer on the top of my head. My boss didn't even react, other than turning around and walking the F away. Worst ever. When I was a freshman in high school, me and a bunch of buddies got signed up to give a speech to a local club about our vision of the future. At the time, I had little public speaking experience, and I was insanely nervous, and I mixed up 2 lines and blurted out, "We will live in a future where people are judged on the color of their skin, not the content of their character." Time stood still. I was in my office when one of my very attractive coworkers came into my office to ask some advice. Her husband and her were thinking of buying a pool table, and she was asking me because she knew I played a lot of pool. I discussed a few of the more popular home table makers, but ultimately said that if they could get their hands on a Brunswick gold crown, it would be the best option. I began to discuss how wear-proof and stable they were, and because I like to use absurd comparisons, all part of my charm, I imagined that I was holding her by the ankles and swinging her like a bat against a pool table, but my mouth said, "For instance, I could bang you against a gold crown and it wouldn't budge." This was followed by a pregnant pause where we both were analyzing what I just said, her with fear and me with confusion, when I broke the silence with, "If I was holding you by the ankles." More silence, followed by an awkward, "Well, thanks for your help." I just sat there confused by my inability to predict how both statements were going to sound coming out of my mouth. We didn't talk much after that. TL, DR. Hot lady asks for my advice. I oblige using examples where I'm having violent sex with her. Yeah, there's no real recovering from that one. Good thing HR didn't get involved. I mean, your heart was in the right place, but your words definitely weren't. Not me, but a coworker. A few weeks back, it was snowing outside, and I was complaining because I hate having to walk home in the snow. Coworker was about to say, "Don't you want a white Christmas?" But mid-sentence realized it was past Christmas and swapped with the nearest upcoming holiday instead and said, "Don't you want a white Martin Luther King Day?" That was the brightest shade of red I've ever seen anyone. As a new employee of an electrical contractor, I was tasked with mounting some components on a very large, for school, air conditioning condenser. At one point, I drilled a hole to mount a pipe and I nicked the copper coil. The sound of the gas escaping the condenser is a sound I'll never forget. The outdoor area in which I was working became a completely foggy wasteland. I felt like an idiot. The owner of my company was called and he came out and looked at the damage. He then asked me, an employee of 2 weeks, if I knew what it was going to cost. I told him I didn't know. He replied with a figure in the thousands. After a moment of silence, I said, "Well, I guess that's the price you pay for hiring idiots." I was in French class. We were talking about what we were going to name our kids. I don't know why, but it came up somehow among the whole class. It got to be my turn, and I said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to name my daughter Error." I shit you not. Instead of saying the name I had in mind, I said the word error. I don't know how it happened. The whole Christmas season this year was a did I just say extravaganza. I work in a really busy jewelry store, and by mid-December I couldn't even speak proper English anymore. It was insane. I know I got a lot of weird looks from customers wondering what the hell was wrong with me. I remember I was showing a gold chain to a customer at one point and said something like, "Yes, this is a nice gold chain, very nice, quite long. Actually, it's really short. I works for everyone, even a dog. But that would be weird because they would probably just eat it, and who buys gold for their dog? Jesus Christ." I had this black friend in high school named Reggie. Reggie had many brothers, and they all looked exactly like him. One day I saw two of his brothers walking together in the hall and decided to have a little fun with them. Being the dipshit I am, I yelled, "Why do you guys all look the same?" at them. Suddenly, a hallway full of people was staring at me in disgust. To make matters way worse, I panicked and yelled again, "I meant just you guys, not black people in general." Cringe. Oh God. I was 19, driving in the middle of nowhere, and two cops pulled me over for speeding. Both were young dudes. Couldn't have been 30. They asked me a question. I replied with, "Yes, ma'am." I could feel my brain punching me from the inside. Also, about 2 weeks into working for Domino's corporate, I answered the phone. "Thanks for choosing Jimmy John's." Face-palmed so hard. But I'd worked for JJ's for about 3 years, so it was kind of inevitable to happen at least once. While at work, a couple came in to talk to Kim, our event coordinator. Kim is a former model. She's stunning, and all I had to do was point out Kim to the couple. Kim was standing with another female employee. I said, "Oh, Kim's right over there. She's the pretty one." Oof. The couple kind of tried to laugh, but were clearly affronted. Panicking, I started babbling about how they were both pretty, and I think all of our employees are pretty, and that I thought the other girl was so pretty that we've ended up making out a couple of, oh God, Kim's the brunette. We were on a family vacation to Michigan, eating lunch at some diner. I was about 14. There's a guy at the table across from me with no arms. I mean, he has absolutely no arms at all, and is eating with his feet. It was pretty awesome how he could use utensils with his feet and get the food in his mouth. Anyways, my stupid brother knocks over the salt, and like an idiot I say, "Nice hands, feet." Before I even knew what I said, my dad punched me in the face. It was an appropriate response for my ignorance. This isn't quite a "what did I just say," but a few years ago, I was at a concert with a lot of crowd surfers. To avoid being hit in the face, I decided to keep my hands raised. A few moments later, I felt the foot of another surfer just behind my head and tried to grab onto it and push it away. After several minutes of unsuccessful groping, I turned around to see that I had been manhandling the chin of a very tall guy behind me. I was too mortified to say anything to him. Just turned around and walked to another part of the dance floor. A girl I had liked for months came to sit down next to me on the couch for a movie in a friend's basement. Without ever planning or even thinking about it, I blurted out, "Seat's taken." I have literally no idea where it came from. She looked humiliated and sat on the floor. I said I was joking and that I was sorry 1,000 times. It didn't work. She never spoke to me again, citing to mutual friends that I was the biggest asshole she knew and that she had liked me. I spent the next year thinking of her in that one moment. A coworker said, "Look at me, I'm a monkey," or something like that. Immediately I thought, be careful, someone could construe that as racist. So to make that point, I stupidly blurted out, "Hey, watch what you say, my father's black." So dumb. English drama course at my uni. We're discussing some film adaptations of Hamlet from the psychoanalytical point of view. The discussion moves to the symbolism of some sword. Me. The sword can be a symbol of chastity, teacher, or phallus. Me. Thinking the story where Tristan and Isolde slept together with a sword between them as a sign of chastity. It depends where it's put. It took me a moment to realize why everyone was laughing. Stoned and in a budgeons. I needed a cream egg. We all know those times when you crave its creamy, eggy goodness. I don't usually get nervous about talking to people while I'm effed up, but this particular day a really hot girl was working behind the counter. I mean really hot. I was so stoned that I lost control of my motor functions for a moment that I dropped the cream egg onto the floor. I quickly picked it up, and when I rose up, I got distracted by how hot she was and just stared at her blankly for maybe 7 to 10 seconds. When I realized what was going on, all I could think to say was, "I dropped my egg." Needless to say, she looked at me like I was retarded. I used to work as a legal assistant in the legal department of a technology company. All of my colleagues and most of the lawyers were women. In an email that had the entire department copied, I offered to mate with rather than meet with senior counsel later that afternoon. My team never let me live it down. I was the only guy in this club called Women in Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics as the male liaison. During Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the club was asked to make a presentation to the school. As the male liaison, I was asked to speak. I made a really nice speech and was really into it, but then I said Breast Awareness Week. School erupts in laughter, and I'm kicked out of the club. While mingling at a conference dinner in an elegant seafood restaurant on the Mediterranean coast, our French host inquires if I've tried the sea urchin appetizer, which I did, reluctantly, after a few glasses of wine, noting that the bit of goo that I ate from the shell was the female genitalia of the animal. Trying to seem agreeable as to compliment his fine dining arrangements, with my wife to my right and a female colleague to my left, I enthusiastically blurted out, "Well, that's the best female genitalia I've ever had." Oh, God. Time stands still as we all stand there, utterly speechless. I was at a festival with my friends. We're Norwegian, but we were accompanied by an English friend, so we kept it in English. As we got drunker, we started talking about cats. This is when my drunken self couldn't stick the words together correctly, and I uttered these words. "I love effing cats. They're smooth and flexible like ninja." Of course I meant I love cats, but it just came out wrong. Everyone went silent before we broke out in laughter for 10 minutes straight. It's safe to say that I've been re-quoted a couple of times. TL, DR. I got drunk and started talking about effing cats. Basically everything I say during a job interview. Everyone tells you think about what you're going to say before you start answering. Not me. I just launch into it, and then a giant stream of BS comes out of my mouth. The one that takes the cake, though, is when I had an interview at Canadian Tire for the Garden Center. They asked me why I wanted to work in the Garden Center. I replied that plants relax me. I'm neither an avid gardener or a pot smoker, but the manager seemed to buy it anyway. When I was in grade 6, to a girl I found attractive while I was amongst her and her own friends talking at a party to celebrate the end of the school year, she was saying something to one of my friends when he replied, "I'm not interested in your shit." I thought I would save the day, try to swap all the words around that he used around to be comforting and defending or whatever the hell she was talking about, and abruptly replied, "I'm interested in your piss." Yeah, didn't go well. The awkward years. I had just started an internship for a software company my third year of college, and I attended my first weekly status meeting a day or two after I started. I was still at the point of setting up my workstation, learning about the project, etc., so I thought I was just going to be an observer in the meeting. Well, they went around getting updates from everyone, and when I was called on, I just said, "Sup," in a really stoner sounding voice. A few of the younger engineers giggled, but most were just startled, and I got super effing embarrassed. I was caught completely off guard, as I did not expect to have to talk. They ended up liking me a lot there, so at least I have that, but whenever I think about that moment, I cringe.